The question sounds almost too simple. Which came first, the chicken or the egg? Most people reach for the same answer. Eggs existed before chickens. Dinosaurs laid eggs, so the egg wins. And that is true. But it also quietly changes the question, because people usually do not mean any egg, they mean a chicken egg. And now the answer depends on what those two words mean. Is a chicken egg an egg laid by a chicken, or is it an egg containing a chicken? Those definitions point in opposite directions. If a chicken egg must be laid by a chicken, then the chicken comes first. But if a chicken egg is an egg containing the first animal we would call a chicken, then the egg comes first. So this riddle survives because it hides a second question inside the first one. Was there ever one clear, unmistakable first chicken? Start with the easy part. Egg-laying animals are far older than chickens. Some of the oldest preserved dinosaur eggs and eggshells we know are roughly 195 million years old. They came from long-necked dinosaurs living in the early Jurassic. But even those were not the first eggs. They are simply some of the earliest eggs that happen to survive in a form paleontologists could study. The early fossil record of eggs is extremely incomplete. Eggshell can break, dissolve, or disappear. Fossils give us scattered survivors, not a complete family album. Still, the broad order is not close. Animals were reproducing through eggs long before birds existed. Birds appeared long before domestic chickens. So if the question means, did eggs or chickens exist first, the egg wins by an enormous margin. Case closed? Not quite, because that answer still avoids the harder part. Where did the first chicken come from? A popular explanation goes like this. A bird that was almost, but not quite a chicken laid an egg. Inside that egg, a mutation created the first true chicken. It is a neat story. One parent, one egg, one biological border. It is also a misleading picture of how evolution usually works. Offspring are always a little different from their parents, but those differences happen inside populations. Over many generations, traits become more common, less common, or rearranged. No mother bird had to look obviously non-chicken, while her chick suddenly looked fully chicken. The parent and the chick could have been nearly indistinguishable. The meaningful change would appear only when we compared populations separated by many generations. Imagine a long row of birds. Each bird looks almost exactly like the one beside it. At one end, you recognize a wild junglefowl. At the other end, you recognize a domestic chicken. Now point to the exact bird where junglefowl ends and chicken begins. Any line you draw will separate two birds that were extremely similar. That does not mean the categories are useless. It means the change was gradual while the label is sharp. And with chickens, humans helped create that gradual change. Genetic evidence links domestic chickens mainly to red junglefowl, especially a population related to Gallus spedicius, now found across parts of southwestern China, northern Thailand, and Myanmar. But the history was not a clean split. As chickens spread through Southeast and South Asia, they mixed with other junglefowl populations. So the real mystery is not which object came first. It is when a changing relationship between birds and humans became different enough for us to give the birds a new name. That changes how domestication looks. One influential archaeological explanation begins with farming. Cultivation and stored grain created a food-rich environment around settlements. Red junglefowl could feed near people. Some birds stayed closer. People could tolerate them, capture them, move them, or favor birds that were easier to manage. No one needed to plan domestication or recognize the change while it was happening. Across many generations, people changed the bird's environment. The birds changed their behavior and biology, and people changed what they expected from them. The chicken did not appear during one dramatic birth. It emerged from a changing relationship. But archaeology adds another problem. Chicken bones are small and fragile. They can be confused with related birds. Old excavations did not always recover them carefully. A bone may also move from a younger layer into an older one. Direct dating can overturn a confident claim. A major reassessment examined evidence from more than 600 archaeological sites. It identified the earliest unambiguous domestic chicken bones then known at Ban Non Wat in central Thailand, dated to roughly 1650 to 1250 BCE. That sounds like a birthday for the chicken. It is not. It is the earliest clear evidence found by that study. The biological and cultural process had already begun. Archaeology often gives us the earliest surviving proof, not the first moment something happened. And that is the reversal. Even when domestic chickens become visible in the record, the boundary itself remains gradual. If the evidence cannot isolate one exact border between wild and domestic populations, expecting one nest to contain an obvious first chicken asks evolution for the wrong kind of event. And even after domestic chickens appeared, their relationship with people kept changing. They moved across regions. They entered new economies, rituals, and systems of exchange. In some places, chickens remained rare or unusual. Much later, evidence from Central Asia suggests that more prolific egg production helped turn chickens into a regular food source. So even the familiar image of a chicken as an everyday egg-producing farm animal has its own history. The animal did not acquire every modern feature at once. Neither did the human relationship with it. There was no single package called the chicken that appeared complete in one egg. Now we can return to the riddle with three answers. First, if egg means any animal egg, the egg came first. That answer is overwhelmingly secure. Second, if chicken egg means an egg containing an animal we would classify as a chicken, the egg also comes first. The animal develops inside the egg before it hatches. Third, if chicken egg means an egg laid by an already existing chicken, then the chicken comes first. But that third answer wins by definition. It does not reveal a different event in evolutionary history. And the second answer still hides a problem. There may never have been one objectively detectable chick that crossed a perfect natural line. Biologists can define populations. Archaeologists can identify changing bones, genes, environments, and human practices. Historians can trace how animals spread and how people used them. But nature does not have to place a sign beside one nest saying, "First chicken." The sign is ours. This is why the question feels so satisfying and so frustrating. The human mind likes clean beginnings. One thing ends, another begins. Wild becomes domestic. Before becomes after. Not chicken becomes chicken. But gradual change does not arrive in neat boxes. Categories help us think. They let us communicate, compare, and make decisions. The mistake is assuming that every useful category must have begun at one sharp instant. The egg came first, but there was probably no dramatic moment when the world changed from having no chickens to having one obvious first chicken. There were birds, there were people, there were changing landscapes, repeated choices, movement, mixing, and many generations. Eventually, the label became useful. We keep looking for the first chicken because we want nature to draw the same hard lines that our minds draw. Nature gave us gradual change. Humans decided where the label begins. The egg came first, the line came later.